Sorry, I was getting into music. Hi, everyone. Welcome to An Enlightened Perspective. My name's Adam. This is Patrick.
Keep those checks coming.
Hi. You don't even say hi to the audience?
Hi, audience. How are you? Did you send your check? That's awesome.
All right, so all of these shows are always brought to you by the benefactory patrons of Speak of the Devil. So, Ara, thank you, my dear. DA, thank you, my friend. And, of course, we have a bunch of people in the chat room, so let me say hi. Hi, Elijah, David, R.N., Robert, Wes, my man, Angel, the A had like an accent, Jim, Robbie, The Vision. Thank you all for tuning in live. If you have any questions, put them up there. We're going to be talking about some pretty sensitive topics, and I'm going to start right here at the beginning. These are going to be trigger warning topics. So this is your trigger warning. If you have issues with any of it, it's going to start right now. So be warned, everyone. All right, Lauren. Hey, how's it going? Okay, Patrick, we got a lot to go over in this episode. Why did you want to talk about this? This is your choice.
Thank you for putting me under the bus like that. I appreciate it.
To be fair, I would have talked about this anyway because
okay.
it's germane right now in our culture, in our society. But
let's just say that you're going to be yourself for this show.
What does that mean?
I wanted to talk about this because this is what's going on right now, and it's a pretty hot topic, and it's current, and it just happens to fall on the time that we're doing the show because we don't do the show like every day, or we do it when we want to do it. So it's helpful to see what's going on at the moment and to keep it fresh.
We have so much to go over. So let me start by saying we're going to approach this very, very large topic in a number of different ways. We're going to start by talking about the hashtag #MeToo movement, how it started, where it came from, what it means. We're going to go into sexual assault. We're going to give some statistics. We're going to talk a little bit about definitions. And then we're going to just dive right in to pudding pop territory with Bill Cosby and the newest, hottest issue of the time, and that's Brett Kavanaugh. And we're going to be talking about who he clerked under, why he's being nominated, politically what it means, or potentially if he gets confirmed onto the Supreme Court, why these allegations are coming out by these different women. As of recording right now, there are 5 different women who are accusing him of inappropriate sexual interactions, sexual assaults in some form, or straight out rapes in others. So this is not going to be a quick and simple, easy discussion. We are going to be hitting it from a whole bunch of different angles. So I hope everyone put on your diapers, slide your catheters in, don't move, because we got a lot to go over. It's weird that we're going to be having people put catheters in, but okay. It's okay.
Some of your shows actually have a drinking game. Except they don't drink, they just punch themselves in the balls for 5 minutes.
Nice. All right.
and it begins.
Here we go. Okay, so let's talk about hashtag #MeToo. Hashtag #MeToo is a sort of a cultural movement that is defined against sexual harassment and sexual assault. It was spread virally in 2017 as a hashtag used on social media in order to demonstrate widespread prevalence of sexual assault and harassment, especially in the workplace. And it all started from our favorite monster-faced friend, Harvey Weinstein.
He looks like, when you first buy packaged ham and you open it and it's kind of slimy. When you first open it up, that's what he reminds me of.
He looks like he was dipped in this vat of primordial goo, and it's always just constantly flowing off of his face.
He smells like piss.
So Harvey, he does look like he smells like piss. Harvey Weinstein has been, and he's not the only one. let me sort of back up a little bit. We as a male culture have been set aside by the powers of whatever culture you were raised in as the dominant species. And you can go back to the most influential books in all of history, like the Bible, for example, when it was formulated in 325 AD, and its initial printing years and years after that, decades and decades after that, with the invention of the printing press and its widespread adoption amongst all of the Roman Empire. This is a tome that defined men as one and women as two. And that was the dominant way of viewing men and women's relationship for a millennia. Like, literally. I mean, from the dawn of time, men has been given the opportunities to be in control and in power, and women were second-class citizens at best and fuck toys at worst. You see this played out in modern culture all the way up through the sexual revolution in the 60s and 70s, women's rights movements, even TV shows, recent ones glorifying the 60s like Mad Men, showed the sexual, physical, and emotional abuse of men over women. And so this movement is a literal lifetime in the making as far as human interactions between men and women is concerned. So it's no surprise that you do have these tipping point moments, whether it's the suffrage movement and the right to vote, or whether it's the sexual revolution and women being able to control their own bodies with birth control. Or whether it's a fight of Roe v. Wade in order to have say over your own body, or being able to open your own bank account, or being able to drive in some countries, or being able to wear what you want to wear in public, or walk around without a chaperone in public. I mean, these are real situations that exist today in different parts of our world. I remember distinctly in an early 9 Cents podcast episode, I got some correspondence from, surprise, surprise, Africa, where they're like, you glorify women too much. You give them too much credit. They're not supposed to be equal to men. And of course, I had a colorful response back. But that is a worldview that exists and is perpetuated throughout many cultures and many nations of this world. So when you do finally see something like the #MeToo movement come out, I think it's natural for a certain sector of the male population that is really insecure about themselves, unsure about where they fit into a new dichotomy of male-female relationships in the world, that there would be some pushback on that. And I think we're seeing that, but it's being drowned out entirely by this incredible movement. So Harvey Weinstein and men like him had gotten away with sexually harassing, raping, sexually assaulting women for many years, and now it's like the light is being shined on all of these perpetuators of misogyny and abuse and assault. I can't help but think that it's a net positive, even if you have to break some eggs. And we're going to talk about that a little bit when it comes to false allegations or unfounded reports or unsubstantiated reports here in a little bit. But so again, this catapulted, I think, because of Harvey Weinstein. But this movement has been going on a very long time with Tarana Burke. She's an American social activist and community organizer who started the Me Too back in 2006 over physical assault and rape allegations.
It just boils down to men over abusing their power and their stature. Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting to see, like, somehow they want to still have that role of aggressor. I mean, you know, if we look at it too from a primal part, that's kind of what men are wired. We're aggressive of the species. We are the ones that go out and hunt and do all those things. And that instinct is still part of people, but that's where we have the intellect to know that behavior is inappropriate and that behavior is not okay. But something with these people figure, well, fuck it, I'll do what I want to do. Their moral compass is way off.
And if you get away with it once
Then why not
or
keep doing it?
twice or three times, and it just becomes a cultural norm for you. And so that's always interesting, because how long does it take someone from coming from a place of this is not appropriate behavior to I think it's okay to physically assault and rape someone? Like,
another thing too is they only get off in this fashion as well now. Now it's become so much that they can only get off and experience joy when they're doing this as well. So then it becomes an addiction because they have to get their fix. When you are a predator like that, you get off on the actual, overpowering them, being able to control them, the situation. I mean, he's sleeping with women that are completely out of his league, that completely would never want nothing to do with him because he doesn't have a personality, he's all those things. But he has figured out a way to abuse that and to get what he wants, and then it becomes an addiction. So even if he knew it was morally wrong, there was a point where he couldn't stop himself. He was insatiable. He got like you say, like when a dog gets a taste of blood, and that's it. It's the same thing. They become addicted to the behavior. They become addicted to how they experience it. So that's another bad thing as well. That we have these monsters that aren't doing it just because they're piece of shit, but now they have a compulsion to do it as well, an addiction to it.
Yeah, I mean, like with Harvey Weinstein and a lot of the accused, they're individuals in positions of authority or power. They have money and privilege behind them, and that when you're, in Harvey Weinstein's example, when you're a young up-and-coming actress who's looking for a role in a movie, and Harvey Weinstein, the producer of the Weinstein Company and CEO owner, tells you, hey, you know what, come to my office, we'll talk about your career, you have something, kid. And then when you get there, he's pulling his cock out and he's making, putting it in your face. It's has to be terrifying because you're not just living in that moment, you're living in, he has my future in his hands. What do I do? And in a lot of cases, women succumb to whatever he demanded of them. In some cases, they did not. Their reputations were ruined, their opportunities squashed. And then finally, some women came out and spoke out against. And so I don't want to turn this into all women must speak out rant, or all women must stand up and face their accuser right after it happened, even though I do think that is the best course in all cases. Let the light reveal the shit disturbers and the vile and the wretched amongst us. There are a multitude of reasons why women don't, and I am not going to stand here as a man and pretend like I could understand why they don't or whether they should or not. So I'm going to leave that out there as that's on the individual. But I do want to sort of cover this idea of where this movement came from, why the movement even exists, and that is because of this imbalance of power all the way back to over 1,000 years ago of human society and the roles that have been forced onto both men and women regionally, culturally. Okay, so the next part of this is going to be Alyssa Milano, who really started the 2017 movement and encouraged victims of sexual harassment to tweet about it with that hashtag and give people a sense of the magnitude of the actual problem. Because a lot of people who do not experience it, and we see this virtually every day with racism, when a white person sees videotape of a black person getting stopped and shot, we don't realize how often that actually happens because we don't experience it ourselves. When we see footage or hear audio of racist cops abusing citizens, we don't think that that's a a normal problem because we don't experience it, when in reality it is a very common problem. This is the exact same thing. Many of us aren't aware of the widespread nature of this abuse because, one, most victims don't talk about it, and two, it doesn't happen to us, so it must not happen to other people. Or if it does, it's in such small quantities that how could it really be a problem? Well, that's what this all started as. That's what the hashtag Me movement started as, and it's something that if it means a significant portion, like 50% or more of our population, gets to take ownership of their own life, then I'm absolutely going to champion that, no matter the direction it takes. And if it means that we get to shine the light on these vile wretches of humanity, and I'm going to pull a little Donald Trump here, it happens on both sides. There's bad people and good people on both sides. The truth is, it happens to men and women by men and women. So it isn't just a gender issue. It is a systematic power imbalance abuse issue that I genuinely believe needs to be addressed. Do you have any other thoughts on the Me Too?
I think that the Me Too is important. It's just a bad situation, but at least people are getting involved. People are having a movement, which is good, and then that they will be able to change things and bring light to things. It just has to start, and then once it starts, the spark goes off, and then it starts to build up. Mm-hmm. So I think it's good she's doing this. I think it's good that she is a pioneer in this. I feel, I just think it's terrible that this stuff goes on, but at least there's more light on it, and now more people are coming to light. More people are making the right choices and doing the choices that help them to stop this kind of behavior. I feel a lot of sympathy for women to have to go through this and have to have the scrutiny and to have the microscope put on them to make sure that this is actually a case, because it's tough, and my hat's off to anybody that participates in this movement and pushes it through more and more and more to get people more aware of what's going on. If people feel that there's a safe community to come out to about this, then it helps more cases come to light.
Yeah. Well, Ara says it's an entitlement mentality, and that a lot of us don't understand the magnitude because it doesn't directly affect us, and that is absolutely true. Victor Wicked is saying recently a high-ranking CBS corporate president was taken down by a reporter who he had threatened, and the very next day she openly put out his threatened email. I think stuff is to understand that you're going to take it on the chin, but you shedding light on it and revealing who these people are is the best way to stop them in every case. And Lauren says sexual assault is directly out of line with satanic values. Abso-fucking-lutely. Like 100%. Okay, so let's talk a little bit specifically about sexual assault, because I thought this was interesting. I'm pulling stats here from the National Sexual Violence Resource Center. 63% of sexual assaults are never even reported to the police. Now, there are a multitude of reasons why, but and they have their sources on the website. It's nsvrc.org if anyone wants to follow up on this and look into it themselves. I highly recommend, because, again, study, not worship. But 63% of all sexual assaults are not reported. That blows my mind, because when you do see something like the hashtag #MeToo movement catching fire and spreading, and you see the plethora of individuals coming out telling their stories, and to know that that's not even a drop in the bucket is just shocking at how so I think you and I were probably raised in the similar fashion. I was raised to always respect women's decisions, and maybe that's because I was raised in the 70s and 80s, where they already went through their sexual revolution. They already went through the majority of the harassment bullshit that they had to put up with in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Right. But I was never taught that behavior was okay. I frequently witnessed.
I was also taught that as
Yeah.
well, not to disrespect women and not to abuse women and to be respectful. It's I know I agree with you. Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I was raised that way as well, and and that was that was something that was unacceptable. Like, we didn't act that way. So, and my mom and dad are a lot older than I am. They grew up during those movements, so I had a unique perspective on it as well. So, it's just this is how we've gone. This is how far it's gone, and this is rights that people have, and people are humans. And it's interesting to see how, I was raised so rigidly on it, and to see this behavior go on. I'm like, don't all people know that this is not okay? Obviously not.
Clearly not. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest problem. What should be a no shit thought, like if someone says no, whether it's a man or a woman, that means no. Like, that should be like, okay, well then I'm going to go beat off or flick my bean or whatever in order to get my fix that I was looking for, or just move on to someone else who may say yes. And you find another person that wants to have sex with you. I just never understood that controlling aspect of it, where, maybe it's not even the sex part of it. It's the I have power over you part of it.
That's a major part of it too. It is a want to have heart. I mean, you and I are blessed with good looks now. Not all people have good looks and are able to get laid on a regular basis. So, there's that as well. People, I think it stems from insecurity, and it stems from anger, and it stems from rejection, and that's where they want to have power over somebody, because somewhere along the line somebody took power from them. So they become the abuser and the assaulter. They feel that they're justified. They find any reason to make what they do acceptable.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it comes from. And you're right. It's a power thing. It just stems from a lot of insecurity. It stems from a lot of having like I said, a skewed moral compass, and that's my opinion. And I feel that it's sad that it has come to this, and people do these things because they, be a fuckface law. But we have laws that say you can't do this and you can't do that. But to them, it's or you can go the other route. You can say they don't know that it's wrong. To them, it's okay. Because
I have a hard time believing that, but yeah.
Well, I think that it just feels right. Why is there something wrong with this? Like, they don't understand that society has deemed that this is wrong, and you don't do this. But to them, it can't be wrong. It feels so good. It's just really fucked up. And people know the difference between right and wrong, and they just choose to indulge in the behaviors that they indulge in. And Harvey Weinstein definitely knows that he's doing this fucking wrong. Does he care? No.
That's interesting, because I've dealt with this idea intimately when it comes, well, maybe that's the wrong word, directly when it comes to my time in the military. Is I had a soldier where the consequences for his poor actions did not outweigh the benefit he received from acting poorly or acting out. And so he just disregarded and broke rules, knowing that whatever the consequence was going to be for that action, he was in a net positive over the experience, no matter what. And it's this idea of, if there are no consequences, if the individual perpetuating the negative behavior or the illegal behavior in this particular case that we're speaking to, if there are no consequences, then there is nothing to say this is bad.
No, that's absolutely right. If they don't get punished for what they do, or there's not a punishment for it, it's not a good thing. I mean, it pretty much is how they are sometimes. And it's interesting how if there isn't a consequence to the action, then people will continue to do it because there's no punishment for it. I mean, do you remember? I mean, I don't know if in your house, if you ever got spanked. I know it's a touchy subject these days, but like, you did something wrong, you got spanked. You're like, Jesus, I'm never doing that the fucking again. I don't want to get spanked. And that's the thing, is people like Harvey Weinstein and some of these other, people that do this stuff, they never got spanked. They never got, and then the consequences for their actions are overwhelming, and they can't believe it. They're like, holy shit, like, I'm going to jail, I'm going to prison. The reality of what they've done has set in. And there's not even that's the thing, is he's gotten away from it for a long time. Yeah. And now it's finally cut off. He's still not in trouble. He's still like free. He's still running the studio. They haven't
no.
done anything to him.
Weinstein's not in charge of the studio anymore, and in fact, the Weinstein Company has been dissolved.
I heard they were trying to bring it back. So that's my bad. I heard it was like that, but if that's the case, I heard they were trying to bring it back, trying to redo something. But if that's the case, then hopefully it will stay done and stay dissolved. But did he go to jail? No. I mean, he still has millions of dollars. He's still rich. He still has money.
He had to pay fines, and he lost his company. I think that was it, which I don't think is enough. Brock Turner is
it's kind
an
of a slap on the wrist.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about false reporting because it is a part of this conversation, and it's going to factor into a conversation we're going to lean into here later with Brett Kavanaugh. And so the statistics are that false reporting is the equivalent of 2 to 10% of all reports. And so you can see that as a small number, or you can see it as a large number. But the truth is it's 2 to 10%. Now, that's a pretty large range. And for those who are accused and it comes out being false, that can ruin your life. And so there is a bit of a reactionary power imbalance when it comes to false accusations. But I want to define what is covered under false accusations before we move forward with this quickly. There's unfounded reports, and this is all included in the 2 to 10%. So unfounded reports is a case that is investigated and found to be false or baseless. Law enforcement. So the law enforcement believes that the report does not meet the legal criteria for rape. This is an interesting idea, and I don't want to dwell on these points here, but if you're married and your husband or your wife or your partner forces themselves on you, that is not always considered rape by the law. So that would be an unfounded report. So that would be part of the 2 to 10% of false reporting. Even though you as the individual were raped by your spouse or partner, that's not technically a rape because you're married. I think that is interesting. Unsubstantiated reports provide insufficient evidence to determine whether or not the crime actually occurred. So maybe the individual reported it later than it happened, and they didn't have time to put together a rape kit, or the rape kit was conveniently lost, or honestly lost, or contaminated, or there was no witnesses, and it's a he said, she said. That would be an unsubstantiated report, part of that 2 to 10%. So in both of those cases, the rape could still have actually occurred, but because of technicalities, they are considered false reports. So honest false reports, meaning someone accused someone else that literally did nothing to them physically in any way, is within that 2 to 10%. So it's less than that.
It's too much. Because
I do. But I agree that it's too much. There should be zero, but we don't live in a perfect world. We have people on death row convicted of crimes that literally did nothing, and they die for it. So we have to understand that we live in a world that is not fair, that we try our best to find justice, but we are fallible because our system and we as individuals are flawed.
Fallible, yeah, right. It's bad because some of these people, and that's the thing, is that there's, like you said before, there's no consequences for the accuser either. I think if somebody files an actual false report and they find that it's an honest false report, I think the same penalty for rape should be deemed. I'm getting a lot of flack for this, but I think they should get the same punishment. I'm sorry. If you're going to send someone for 10 years away for rape and the person never touched you and you fall at it, I think you should send the same punishment. Like, you're willing to put somebody in jail for 10 years for something they didn't do, and you just get a smack on the wrist? Absolutely not. I think that would eliminate a lot of that percentage if they find out that it was an actual false report, not the evidence or this or that, but it was actual fabrication. Then I think the penalty should be just as stiff.
Yeah.
Just as stiff. And I think people are going to get really mad at me, and maybe some of the ladies out there will be mad at me as well. But I don't think that's okay. You're going to falsify and make up a story that's not true, and this person's life is completely ruined, and they go to jail for 10 years, and then comes to find out that they didn't, the person's out. You should go to jail. You should have the same punishment.
Yeah.
You showed no remorse. You showed no conscience. You showed no character, and you try to ruin someone's life because you didn't get your way? Absolutely not. I think they should actually have the same punishment. And I think if that is instituted, then a lot of women will do it. Will say, hey, this really happened. Because if it does come out, a lot of people don't want to take that gamble. A lot of people don't want to do that bluff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. There should be there should be punishment in kind for honest, I say honest, but actual false allegations, because it does ruin you. It follows you. And the problem is it doesn't matter even like the stigma, even if you're proven innocent and let's just say in this example, you are actually innocent. You still have the rape allegation hanging over your head in whatever community or whatever office or whatever region you're living. Like it's a stink that persists, whether or not you were the actual criminal in the case, and that's fucked up. But again, it is less than 2 to 10% of the reality of it, and so I want to focus a little bit more on the actual. And we'll dip into false allegations here in the next story. But this story that we're transitioning into now with Bill Cosby, he was convicted. And there were more than 50 women who came out saying that he had been doing this over 40 years. So the statute of limitations in Bill Cosby's particular crime of sexual misconduct was 15 years, I think. And so the only one that went in a legal battle with him was within that 15-year barrier. And actually, I think it was like 14 years ago. So he was drugging and sexually assaulting women at his home since he was in show business. Like at the moment he found a sense of power or a sense of fame, he used that to coerce women, to drug them, and to repeatedly rape them. And then who are they going to believe? Who are the police going to believe? Who is society going to believe? America's favorite dad or random civilian number 7?
Well, plus he also was raised in that culture of rubies and things like that. That was during his era. So that was pretty much a common thing around his age when he was getting a comedy about slipping somebody a rupee. So he's very familiar with this behavior, and it's very much the culture of it. You know, another thing too is if you look at psychology, here's a man who was the super wholesome America's favorite TV dad, and then that's not really who he is. He's and then he being able to do that horrible thing and be able to indulge behavior was probably what he really reveled in, because it was like, everybody thinks I'm the greatest guy in the world, and look what I'm doing. If they only knew. That's where he probably got off on just the fact that it was against everything that supposedly he was idolized for. I mean, the Cosby Show, I'm sure in a lot of households, everybody knows the Cosby Show. And what he did for, changing stigmas and things like that. He was a doctor. He was a lawyer. They lived a good life. They had good kids. They struggled. It was lightning in a bottle. And then to tarnish all of that and to make it like he's the biggest piece of shit on the fucking planet, Bill Cosby is completely, utterly just horrible. And you look at, and it wipes the slate of every good thing he's ever done. Every good album, every good tour, every good everything, done. The Cosby Show is done. The people that were on the Cosby Show have to, endure this humiliation well because they were associated with the man. Guilty by association. You know, their lives are irreparably damaged as well because of what he's done and because of who he was supposed to be or what we believed in. And that's the thing is, Bill Cosby didn't have to do that. He was Bill Cosby, you know, and that's where, you know, morally reprehensible and just a complete horrible individual with many problems. I mean, you look at Bill Cosby and he is actually royalty. You understand? Like, he's royalty. Bill Cosby is you know, he has handlers. You know, anything he wants is at his disposal. Everything. Someone, you know, drives for him. Someone takes care of him, dresses him. I mean, he is absolute fucking royalty. And now, you know, he is just, now he's, you know, he got sentenced to 3 to 10 years. Now he's going to go to a place where he doesn't get all those things anymore, which I think is good. I feel bad for the people that he's abused. I mean, they wanted their career to take off, and here is Bill Cosby telling them he's going to make them superstars, come over to my house for fucking, you know, lunch, and then you end up getting raped. I mean, geez, I don't know any worse fate for somebody. Like, what the fuck did they do to deserve that? Nothing. They're trying to hone their craft. They're trying to get a break. And this guy is just, you know, like Harvey Weinstein, just preying on them. Just, you know, he's disgusting, fucking disgusting.
Well, he was sentenced to 3 to 10 years, so he goes on probation after 3 years in prison. On Tuesday, he was put into prison, and good, fuck him. I have, you know, some of the people in the chat room are talking about audiences having a sentimental attachment to his entertainment. I do my best to divorce the idea of the individual behind the artistic expression. So, for example, Harvey Weinstein is a piece of shit, but I love Pulp Fiction, so I'm going to keep watching Pulp Fiction, even though he produced it. I'll watch various other movies that Harvey Weinstein and the Harvey Weinstein Company has produced because I like those movies. They do not act as a paragon or an excuse of his poor behavior, and so I divorce him from his projects in the entertainment sense, and I continue to enjoy the entertainment.
Hold on, yeah, but he's not the face of it, though.
Okay, so let's get into that.
He's not the face of Pulp Fiction. He's not the star of Pulp Fiction.
Right.
It's not Harvey Weinstein. It's Vincent Vega. I mean, this is how it is. I mean, Harvey Weinstein is a producer. He's involved in it, but he's not the face of it. You know,
so for you, can you watch The Cosby Show and still enjoy it?
No.
I totally can.
I can't. No, I can't. I look at his face and I want to just punch him in it. I'm sorry. Like, I think he's it's.
No, you have every right to feel that way. I don't mind.
I can't stand it. Like, you know what? That's the thing is, okay, prime example, Michael Jackson, okay, accused of molesting kids with cancer. I'm a cancer survivor. I can't listen to Michael Jackson.
He was never convicted, though. Those are rumors.
I understand that. Allegedly. But I can't listen to the music. It's tarnished it for me because it hits too close to home. Bill Cosby is the face of you know, he's the face of it. It's different. Like, I look at him, I'm like, you're a piece of shit. You raped all these people. I don't think that the work outstands the moral reprehension that this man embodies.
I don't think it justifies or outweighs it either. I just separate the two.
I can't. Well, you're a better man than me because I fucking can't.
Yeah.
I cannot separate that shit. I think it's Cosby. You know, I'll never listen to it. And I was a big fan of Bill Cosby growing up as a kid, especially his comedy.
That was our era.
I loved it. Oh yeah, and then you know, the Cosby Show and you know all the. I can't do it, man.
What about Louis C.K.?
Louis C.K., I never really cared for him anyways.
Oh, really?
So, I mean,
okay.
I watched Lucky Louie a few times. I was like, You know, I mean, Louis K.C. exposed himself to some women. I guess that's pretty much the gist of it. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the story is, but I wasn't here's the thing is, I look at it. I know what he's done, and I don't want to watch it. Yeah. I don't want to have that content. If that's my, you know, if that stirs that's that fair, much emotion in me, I'm not going to watch it. I'll tell you and I know how you feel. like Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey is my favorite fucking actor of all time. And to hear what he did and admit it, I can't watch Kevin Spacey movies.
Oh, wow.
I can't do it. And I love LA Confidential. That's one of my
He's an
favorite
interesting
all-time
one, yeah. Because I didn't.
And I can't watch LA Confidential. I can't watch American Beauty, and I fucking love Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Like, if he's in the movie, I'll go see it just because he's in it, because he doesn't do dog shit. That's another great one too. But here's the thing: I can't watch it now. I look at what he did. I'm sorry, I can't watch your movies anymore.
Well, his latest movie proved that the majority of humans on this planet agree with you, because it bombed. It did like $3, like. And then
literally. Someone took it, and then they took him out of a movie too.
Yeah.
Before it went to fucking. They had it all done, and they're gonna put it out, and they said, boop. They put Christopher Plummer in it to cut him right the fuck out of it.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to Kavanaugh, because this is going to be a long conversation here. Okay, so let me give a little bit of background on Kavanaugh so everyone understands.
By the way, great picture though. Great fucking picture.
That was from today. During his
I saw that.
questioning. Justice Anthony Kennedy announced that he was going to resign, and he wanted one of his clerks to take his place. Now, we had talked about Justice Anthony Kennedy. I can't remember if it was our first episode or if it was offline, but he's come up between the two of us before. And there's a whole history there politically that I'm not going to get into now, because it's part of a larger Donald Trump administration conversation. But let's just say that Justice Anthony Kennedy told everyone he's going to be resigning from the Supreme Court. So obviously we need to fill his seat. He said that he wanted to resign and have one of his clerks come up. And Brett Kavanaugh is, in fact, he clerked under Anthony Kennedy, but he was not on Donald Trump's list. And in fact, let me find my note here. It was FreedomWorks, a conservative agency group, which would spend millions lobbying senators, that secured Kavanaugh's confirmation on Trump's top 4 Supreme Court nomination picks. Trump saw him as a way of rewarding the evangelicals for having voted him into office in the last election. And that is literally why he won, because they gave in to Trump because Trump promised them that he would overturn Roe v. Wade. I mean, that was a straight up statement. He knows that Brett Kavanaugh would be willing to overturn Roe v. Wade, but there's also another little issue between Brett Kavanaugh. He doesn't believe that presidents should be held to the same laws that citizens are. He doesn't believe that you can, that if a president breaks the law, that he should ever see any justice.
We talked about that. I think it was our first episode. That was part of my argument, was that Trump will put in his own personal agenda as someone that won't convict him. We had a big discussion about that. So yeah, this is probably much what we talked about actually coming to fruition, that we definitely called it, that we said, if this guy steps down, they're going to put someone in that's not going to convict him, that's not going to impeach him. And we were absolutely right on the button with that. And this is the confirmation that's going in there. So yeah, this is very politically charged. This is one of the most politically charged nominations for the Supreme Court, I think, that we've seen in a long time, or we may ever see. But this is really, Trump is going to ram his agenda down our fucking throats. He don't care.
So Brett Kavanaugh, he currently sits on the U.S. Court of Appeals in the District of Columbia. He's authored more than 280 opinions, mostly having a distinctly conservative bent. Legal experts believe that him being nominated to the court would change the nature of the court for decades. In his own writings, he makes it clear that he would rule against reproductive rights and individual freedoms. He would welcome challenges to the constitutionality of the Affordable Care Act. Trump said that he wanted to appoint a conservative judge who would overturn and undermine Roe v. Wade. He would permit shopkeepers and hotel owners to refuse to serve gay customers on religious grounds and approve laws designed to hinder voting rights. This is Brett Kavanaugh, who the Republicans, after today's hearing, said that they were still going to have a vote tomorrow morning on whether to confirm him as a Supreme Court justice. So that alone should be enough. Stare decisis, established laws, precedents set by the Supreme Court. This individual judge will overturn, ignore, and flaunt in the face of law if he is in fact confirmed. That should be a terrifying notion to anyone who champions individual liberty. Okay, so that sets the political stage. That is what is at stake. Literally. Let's talk about the allegations, because this is interesting. Not only do the allegations feed into the Me Too movement in this political era, but they also feed into the political reaction to his nomination. Because let's face it, Republicans have all of the power right now. All of it.
Oh, yeah.
Democrats have no power. So if you are in a position of having, and this is speculation, if you are in a position of having zero power, and someone comes along, like a Brett Kavanaugh, who would dominate the Supreme Court with the other conservatives on that court for decades, what would you be willing to do in order to stop that nomination?
I would dig up every fucking thing I could find. I found out where his dog shits, where he gets his blowjobs on Thursday, which Robin's fucking favors. I would learn everything. I would learn it all, of course. And if there was even an inkling that this guy was a piece of shit or anything, I would completely use that to my advantage. And I am not joking. I mean, if this is the guy, which he is. So, I mean, you know, this is bad. Like, I would get everything I could on him. So yes, I believe that if this is workings of the Democrats, of course, this guy's going to change the course of how our country is in the Supreme Court. So yeah, I would dig up everything I could. I want to know if he shits in a tire when he was little. Everything. I'll get all of it.
So I want to be clear about where I stand in this, because throughout the discussion that we're about to have about the allegations and the individual women who have come out against him, I want to be clear about where I stand. I do not think it is ever okay to lie or manipulate a situation. So, for example, if I was in the Democrats' seat right now and I had the opportunity to convince someone who did not believe what I was telling them to say to come up and accuse him of sexual assault, I don't think that would be right. I would be against that. And if I found out that any Democrat representative of mine did something like that, one, I would never vote for them again. I would campaign against them. This goes beyond a political issue for me. This goes to the very heart of what it means to be a true progressive or a patriot, or someone who believes in the idea of personal ethics. If you cannot topple a party through the system, then you have to be stuck with them. And that is why when I look at a Trump presidency, I was fervently against it before he was president, when he was running. I am fervently against it now that he is president, and I will forever be fervently against everything that he does, so long as it's in the vein of what he has done. But I will not abide any opposition that is untrue or outright illegal. And if any of these women come out and it is determined that they are in fact lying, I'm going to have a big fucking problem with that.
I think a lot of people are, see, this is a very slippery slope that you say here too, because if you look at this too, if the Democrats did prompt this and it is fabricated, they're completely fucked. They're fucked. They're fucked, and Trump will get in for the next 4 years. If this guy, if they vote on him and he gets in there, Trump will be president for another 4 years. So this is if this is true and this is what's happening, I mean, this is it. Like, this is where we will know what's going to happen with our country. This Supreme Court nomination is so important to our political landscape that it will irreparably change forever. I mean, this is very a scary time, you know, because I look at this stuff and I just grit my teeth, like, we're just fucked. I mean, it's and then, you know, if it's found that he didn't do these things and he gets in, he's still not the guy that we want. He's still going to do a bunch of bad shit anyways when he gets in there. So, I mean, this is a really bad situation. You know, even if he's innocent, he's still not a good choice. So then bringing this up to light is fine. I mean, like I said before, like digging, like making sure, like finding anything you can. These ladies came by on their own fruition because he actually did these things. That's just more evidence that we don't need this guy. But this is a very slippery slope, and this could backfire in so many different ways. This could have, you know, I mean, it is very scary. And if he is innocent, then I feel bad that his family and everybody had to go through this, and he's got to be put through this process. That is horrible. If he's guilty of it, then there should be criminal charges, or at least not be the fucking, you know, on the Supreme Court, something. The guy's trying to have that much power. So this is bad, and you know, it's heated and it's sensationalized and it's over the top. I mean, the press is having a fucking field day with this. They're in cloud nine, you know. But this is so sad. And like before, like if the Democrats do lie about this, there's, you know, it's like we're just fucked. We're just fucked as people because both sides are bad. Just, you know, it's when did we, you know, instead of doing these things, we should all work together. But fuck, you know, we're in charge and they don't listen to us. Obviously, they don't really give a shit what we think. Right. Look at this guy. Not that he's a bad person. I'm just saying, like, what he wants to do is bad. So he's going to make sure that 4 more years of Trump.
Yeah. I mean, objectively, without these allegations, he's a bad person. Yeah. He wants to he wants to champion corporate power over individual liberties. That, in my opinion, is a net negative, and he will forever be a bad person. Not to mention he's a fucking Christian, and there is nothing good that has ever come out of Christianity at all. Look in the modern news for the past 200 fucking years. I mean, it's all fucking negative. So let's talk about some of these individual allegations, some of these individual women. I'm sorry. I thought I had it set up right here. This is Dr. Christine Blasey Ford. She was the first to accuse the judge of sexual misconduct, and she today testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee about her experience. I want to state quickly about this. It was brought to the attention by Miss Ford to Senator Dianne Feinstein in July about this. So this is not something that happened over the past week or over the past 2 weeks. Senator Feinstein has been sitting on this knowledge for months, and under the request of Mrs. Ford, did not bring it up in the hearings herself because Miss Ford didn't want her to. And so she respected her individual rights. The media leaked her name in the allegations. And so it was the media that forced the Democrats' hand to present her, because the opposite of that is that the Democrats would then be stifling a story about an abused individual trying to stand up to Kavanaugh. And that has even worse optics than bringing the allegations to light. So they kind of were in a position where they were, caught between a rock and a hard place and said, all right, well, fuck it. Let's bring this woman out. She reluctantly agreed, and she had an impassioned discussion today. So I want to talk about these allegations, and then I want to talk about where you and I stand with her and her story individually, because I think this is going to be an important part of it. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. So she alleges that Kavanaugh had sexually assaulted her at a house party in 1982 when Kavanaugh was 17 and she was 15. She alleges that Kavanaugh's friend Mark Judge was also in the room during the alleged assault. So they grabbed her out of the hall. They had all been drinking and they were very inebriated. They grabbed her out of the hall, put her into a room, closed the door. The allegation is that Kavanaugh pushed her on the ground, started trying to pull her clothes off of her, put his hand over her nose and mouth in order to stop her screams. She was terrified that she was going to accidentally be murdered because she couldn't breathe. And Mark Judge, his friend, was laughing hysterically behind him as he was trying to force himself on this girl. Mark jumps onto the bed. They all fall off the bed. She runs into the bathroom, locks the door until they leave, and she no longer hears them. Then she ran out and left the party, terrified. That is her story. With the history of what we've been talking about with the Me Too movement, knowing the story that she wanted people to know that this is who Brett Kavanaugh was, but she knew the repercussions for coming out and was not willing to suffer them, she brought it up to Senator Dianne Feinstein under anonymity. Because she didn't want to be known, and she has, from 2012, gone through therapy for this very instance, had a polygraph taken. I believe her. I believe that she experienced this incident. I require further evidence to be convinced of the perpetrator. So I believe that this happened. I believe that she believes it was Brett Kavanaugh. But without a further investigation, I cannot condemn someone. And more importantly, it's not my place to condemn him. So, what do you think?
You know, that's the thing about parties in high school and being drunk and things like that. You both are not in a mental state where you both can consent to anything. And I'm not downing her story. Don't get me wrong. It's horrible what he did to her. It's horrible. It was him. That's even bad. And you know, I believe that he should not, I believe he should get punished for it and everything else. But like you said, there's not enough evidence to back it up. We can't necessarily, just because somebody said something doesn't make it fucking so. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing, though, too. Like you said, there's enough evidence. Just because she says this doesn't make it true, doesn't make it right, doesn't make it happen. But if it did happen, yes, everything should follow up with it, like you said, with the investigation. But, you beat somebody long enough, they tell you they started the Chicago fire. Doesn't make it so, and that doesn't. No. So just because she said something doesn't mean that it's accurate or correct or 100%. Maybe this judge character has a different account of the story. Maybe it wasn't like that. Maybe it was her interpretation of it. I'm not doubting what she did. But like you said, we don't have enough facts or evidence. I know that people like to take what I say and twist it all around sometimes, so I want to make that very, very, very clear that, if this happened, then yes, it's terrible, and she is a victim, and this needs to come to light, so yes.
So there is an actual process that exists to determine whether something happened or not, and it's called an investigation.
And Donald Trump blocked the investigation.
So
he made sure they didn't get it happen.
He is deferring to the Senate. The Senate, the Republicans who control the Senate, do not want an investigation. And this is the interesting part, because when Brett Kavanaugh was originally nominated and the questioning began, Republicans only gave a small fraction of the necessary documents in order to question the nominee. And that became a point of contention during the initial questioning process, vetting process of Brett Kavanaugh, where the Democrats were like, look, you didn't give us the documents we need, and then you gave us, hundreds of documents, which is still just a fraction of the documents they need, like 5 hours before the actual event is taking place. How can anyone possibly be prepared in order to question this individual and to know? Now, here's what's even worse. By the time that the media leaked the story about Dr. Christine Blasey Ford's allegations, the Republicans already had a document with, I think it was 16 or so women who vouched for Kavanaugh's character already in hand. So they knew that this was going to come out. Otherwise, why would you go collect signatures for someone vouching for their, that they weren't rapists? Like this is what makes it so strange. They withhold documentation so that you don't know everything about this guy that's supposed to be nominated to the highest court in the land. Then, when allegations come out against him, they already have a letter saying, no, he's got a get out of jail free card. It's all women. They all have vaginas, and they didn't get raped. Not by him, so he's okay. That's strange. But then when he is, in fact, had allegations thrown at him, they refuse an investigation in order to clear his name. This is the part that I don't understand, because let's just say they have the vote tomorrow morning.
Just to make clear, did the Democrats want the investigation?
Yeah, they're calling for it, like constantly.
Why can't they just get it done? Who says that they have to? They have control or does an investigation have to be voted on? Because I don't think it should. I think investigation should be warranted for any type of this stuff. It should be a no-brainer. There shouldn't be a debate about it. It should be like, oh, yes, absolutely.
I agree, but that's not how it works. The ruling party has to approve of the investigation, which would then pause the nomination process.
Well, he's getting in, so you just know that he's going to get voted in tomorrow.
It was 65 women. It was not 16. I made an error. Thank you, Lauren. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. So my prediction is that he will get in. That's my prediction for tomorrow. He's going to be on the court justice system. They're going to confirm him. If they've gone this far and they produce these documents and they don't do an investigation, he's in. Yeah. He is in. I mean, we got a president that ran on the grab them by the pussy platform. I mean, this is the good old boys. They're going to help their friend. Mm-hmm. This is how it is. If you look at corporations and how some sleazy corporations push it under the rug and there was no harassment and no this and no that and women get victimized, I mean, this is not something that Donald Trump doesn't understand in his corporation about sexual harassment and allegations and how to sweep shit under the rug and this and that. He knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. Mm-hmm. And so do the people that are backing Kavanaugh. If they really want this guy in, they'll get him in more. Their backup is even worse than Kavanaugh. So that's where it'll be. So if he doesn't get in, they'll have a backup, which will be someone just as worse, but a little more spit shine and squeaky clean. Mm-hmm. But my prediction is Kavanaugh will get in. I'm happy this lady came forward. I'm happy that she put these allegations there to put something on this man. If this is true and she did this, I give her a lot of points for courageousness. But I don't think it's going to stop the momentum with the entire thing. I think it's very sad.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, the Senate split is very narrow right now. And it would only take one Republican for a tie to happen. So this is going to require some courage on the part of a couple Republicans if they do, in fact, have the vote tomorrow morning like they said they wanted to. Or like they said that they were going to go for. It's very true. They very well may not. And that the thing is you can impeach judges. You absolutely can. And that is a reality that I fear if we do not create more judges on the Supreme Court, which you can also do. You can add judges in order to balance it back out. You can then impeach judges, create a vacuum, and then fill said vacuum. So there are ways around it. We have three powers of government. There's a reason for that. We can use authority in order to balance them back out if it does get unbalanced. Okay, so this
I hope it doesn't get to that point.
Me too. Yeah, it's interesting that they want him so insistently, so quickly. That's what I find so incredibly interesting. Is there's something they know if it's not the Mueller investigation, there's something else that's going on, and I don't know if people are aware of this.
I think it's an agenda that they want to push very quickly. Yeah. So I think that I think that this is where it's going to come down to. They're going to push something very quickly, and this is their MO. That they push for things very fast, very quick, and they get a lot of things. If they got something they want to slip by or they want to push an agenda, they are rip-roaring. They're going to try to get as much shit as they can get done with Trump on their agenda, so that this doesn't I mean, if he does get out of office or does get impeached, they have they're set for a long time, Democrat or not.
They've been successful so far. I don't know if people are aware of this. There is a conservative movement that is trying to start a constitutional referendum in order to prevent the voting of senators by the populace. They want to have senators awarded into place, not voted into place. Like, they want senators to be selected. This is an actual movement that is backed by, this sounds conspiratorial, but they've written books on it. The Koch brothers want this to happen, and they're like really the biggest funders of the modern conservative movement. They don't want the American populace to have a say in our legislative branch. They want corporate interests to, which is why it's so important that people fucking vote. If we can get money out of politics, then we can take our democracy back over, and it can be again for the people, by the people. But until we do that, there are people actively working against us. And we are so blind to think that it's this stupid fucking D or R line when it's not. They are both controlled by the same corporate interests. One team is paid to fucking lose, and one team is paid to fucking win. And if you don't see that right now in this current political climate, then you're a fucking idiot. It is so goddamn obvious, especially with this fucking Kavanaugh situation. We must be conscious and vote while we still can. I'm not going to go all fucking crazy on you, but vote. It's important. All right, let's get to the second accuser here. Oh, we're not done by damn sight. All right, so the second accuser is Deborah Ramirez. She said that she would be willing to testify before the Senate committee, but they rejected her. They didn't want to hear her. I can understand why. 2 accusers on 1 week is just too much when next week you want a Supreme Court justice. So this individual came out. She was reluctant to come out earlier because she said her memory was a little hazy. And that makes this individual much less believable to me. I still believe she suffered the incident, but I'm not convinced it was Brett Kavanaugh. Again, I require evidence. That is why investigations are important. So she says, this was in 83 or 84. She was a freshman in college. She was at a party. Kavanaugh exposed himself, put his dick in her face. She pushed it away. Somebody down the hall yelled, "Hey, Kavanaugh just put his penis in Debbie's face." And that's why she's confident that it was, in fact, Brett Kavanaugh. But she admits that her memory of the incident was very fuzzy because she was very drunk. This one's a little bit tougher for me. It falls in line with the behavior that even Brett Kavanaugh's friends said he exhibited when he drank, and he consistently drank a lot and would just be sort of rambunctious and out of his mind.
In college.
Right, in college. But for this, because she was so fuzzy about whether it was him or not, we need an investigation.
She did come out and say it looked like a penis, only smaller. She did come out with that. No, I'm just making that up. Sorry. It's okay. You're in college. Some of the things that you did definitely weren't savory all the time. You did some bad judgment. Should that bad judgment linger with you your entire life? So you flashed some chick your name.
No. I want to be clear. There's for me, there's a significant difference between flashing someone, like just pulling your dick out like a Louis C.K., which is bad, but there's a difference between that and shoving it in someone's face, like is alleged here. So there's a difference,
okay.
But there's still a line between what I would have engaged in and what these individuals have done. This is stuff that I never did, no matter how drunk I got. So there is a line that I think reasonable people see between sexual assault and non-sexual assault when you're drinking, because you can still do stupid things without it being.
Oh yeah. Not be a complete douchebag cocksucker. No, I understand what you mean. No, I'm just, I'm saying, like, some, because people's arguments to me have been like, oh, he was in college, he was drinking, like, just take it out of college. It's like, well, it is a big deal. It is a big deal. It is a pattern of bad behavior. This is only one person that's come forward. How many other chicks did he try to force himself on and do this kind of stuff when he got drunk? So, I mean, it's
or not
the individual. It's there could be a lot more of these. This is the one that has told us about it. That's the thing. We weren't there. There was more evidence, but she's hazy on it, and she was drinking, and it's a frat party. It's just so much. That's the thing, is it's not enough concrete evidence. It's not like, yes, this is, and that's, but it does establish a pattern of behavior. And another tactic too is like, I don't mean to say like that, but this comes out in lieu of the first complaint. Okay, well now we're building a history for this guy. It's just, if, whatever, then it's wrong, and like I said, it's so politically charged. This isn't just a cut and dry, thing. This is like, we don't know who's pulling the strings. We don't know what really happened, because we weren't really the kid. He did try to force her to go down on him, because I'm assuming that's what it was. Like, that's bad. Like, that's not okay. It's not okay. I mean, I didn't go to frat parties, so I don't understand that behavior. I didn't participate in that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I basically had a girlfriend the whole time I was in college, so that was nice. Yeah, it's just, I feel bad for this. If this happened, and this is the kind of person that he is, bad. He's already bad. This just makes him worse. So it's just, it's just sad. And then, like you said, there's other ladies that started to come out as well. But I mean, where were these ladies, a couple of months ago? I mean, well,
he wasn't being nominated to the highest court in the land that would affect that highest court in the land for decades.
When did they announce it? When did they announce that this guy was getting out? That's what I'm saying. It's like, they didn't dig on this guy. They didn't launch an investigation as to who he was. The Democrats should have lost their own investigation. These kind of things might have come to light during their investigation, but they didn't. This is after the fact. So,
well, there have to be allegations for an investigation in this manner to be. Yeah. But I absolutely do understand what you're saying. I want to get to what Ara is asking here. She's going to play devil's advocate for a minute. How is this different than a chick flashing her tits at a party or in a co-ed dorm? Fuck.
Because people like boobies better than penises. I think that's pretty much.
I think that's a joke, but I think it's absolutely true. I think you're right. I think that has everything to do with it. I think.
Oh, chick flash your boobs, no big deal. Oh, you flash your penis. Hey, that's why we don't show male frontal nudity in most of our Cinemax and our R-rated movies.
I'm telling you, there's something really threatening about a dick that because I have one, I don't see it. But I don't see the threatening nature of it. I do see my dick.
I was going to be like, that was very revealing, Adam. Very revealing.
Where are you? Where?
Or lack of revealing.
Yeah. But like honestly, like that's a real conversation. That's whenever we have these news stories come out about the young attractive female teacher that had sex with her 15, 16, 17-year-old student. No man ever will be like, oh, poor guy. No, you're like, fucking wish I was that guy at fucking 14, 15, and 16 because that's an attractive woman. It's shitty. It's not fair. It's a double fucking standard, but it exists and it's real.
Because men don't think like that. Men are like, okay, the only reason that happened is because she let him fuck her. Mm-hmm. She let him do it. Yeah. There's no rape there. She let him fuck her. See, that's the mentality of how that goes when it's a female. But if it's a male, all hell breaks loose. That's the thing. It's a double standard. Definitely, it is a triple double standard. And thanks for the chat. Thank you, like devil's advocate. You're absolutely right. It is a double standard. Yeah. You flashed your boobs or something. Look at Mardi Gras. That's a whole holiday built around flashing your tits.
Yeah, I'll give you a plastic necklace. Let me see your tits.
the person that thought of that is pure genius. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Yeah, but it's that's a good point, and it's just a double standard too. What if it was a female, else on there, I was a party and she like flashed me your tits and tried to get me to suck them? You're like, and
yeah, I don't want to go too far down that road because it does get into a lot of gray area, and it's all hypothetical in this particular discussion, and I don't want to have that conversation. But I want to rein it back into this, and I want to wrap up this section of our conversation with the final newest accuser. This is Julie Swetnick, and that is her attorney, Michael Avenatti, next to her. And she says in approximately 1982, she had been gang raped at a house party where Kavanaugh and Judge were present. And this was behavior that she said that they conducted, where they would, and not just them, but groups of men would drug the girls at the party, a girl, take them and run a train on them and gang rape them. This is the most vile of all of the allegations. It is the most disgusting, and it is the most in line with what I have always imagined frat behavior to be, if I'm being 100% honest. Like this is typical frat behavior. And that's not saying it as like an okay way. Like I've always thought frats were the worst, vile dude bro of everything. I can't stand it. I can't stand dude bros. I fucking hate them, and they are the personification of frat houses. So this is something that I would imagine would occur on the regular and in any nasty fucking dickhead frat house. So I think it's vile. I think it's disgusting. And she swore an affidavit to this. So she will go to jail if it is disproven. Like, this is real. This is some real fucking serious shit now. This isn't I was fuzzy and he may have stuck his dick in my face. This is, I was raped by multiple men and he was one of them. This is
just a
fucking bad shit. So she's putting her entire life on the line in this case behind this statement. This just came out on Wednesday. This blows my fucking mind. And 2 new unnamed accusers just came out on Wednesday as well, saying that he in fact has a history of sexual assault in one form or another. So
that alone should to make sure he doesn't get nominated. It should take the nomination away just based upon that.
I wanted to make sure that we brought up the Cosby bit before this, because with Cosby, he was accused by one accuser for the behavior, and that's when people started coming out of the woodwork saying, okay, you know what? This did happen to me, and you were brave enough to be the first. I'm going to come up and I'm going to support you and tell you my story. He did it to me too. And this is what happens. This is why it spirals like this. Because 63% of all sexual assault cases are not reported. And so when one person comes out, it gives a little bit more power to those who were silent to say, I can come out too. I can share my story too. And now there's an entire movement online of people sharing their sexual assault stories. And light is being shined on this. So the more accusers that come out, the more I think that he actually did engage in this behavior. Because that is the pattern of results that we've seen in past accusations. If it's just a bullshit story, it's like a one and done. When people start snowballing and there's nothing to gain, you know there's truth behind it. So, I don't know. You have a personal experience with allegations, right?
Yes, I do.
Would you be willing to share that?
Sure. So I was engaged to a young lady for a certain amount of time. I'm going to give you the broad strokes here about our relationship. From what I understood, it was good. We didn't have an issue. We didn't have any problems until the relationship was over. Then I referred people to her in her profession, what she did, and her claim to each one of them was that I was an abusive person, that I raped her, that I beat her on a regular basis, that I sexually abused her. Now, her mother worked with me also in the place that this took place. So, but she leaves that part out. I've had to go to court for things that I didn't do. Her ultimate goal was to get me to say that I was harassing her, and they would get the criminal charges, and then they would lay the bomb on the abuse that alleged. Luckily, the judge saw right through it in the initial thing and put it all to bed and made sure that they couldn't do that. So I'm really grateful that I actually saw the truth of what she had done. The damage to my reputation has been pretty bad. People didn't want to come work for me in my shop because I heard the rumors. I had to show them the court papers. I had to show them the actual documentation of what's going on, the judge's ruling, actual, pictures of her mother and me in the shop, things like that. So it just kind of made it where, now I can't get people to work with me. People have rumors. This person went as far as to put a review on Yelp about me that I was a pedophile and a sexual predator. So I have really had the most extreme case of someone accusing you of not, if this person has succeeded, I don't think I'd be in jail or prison because I didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's literally no evidence at all because there's nothing, I didn't do it. And the judge found that this is completely unfounded. And, if she continued with her course of action, she would be sanctions put on her. She would go to jail. She would have fines. I could file harassment against her for trying to use the courts against me. So in one case, to be accused of it is completely disgusting, and to have my life almost completely ruined for someone that, I was willing to spend the rest of my life with is kind of a very hard knife in your back to take. So when I hear these women and I hear what they say and I hear what's going on, I think I have a lot of sympathy for them. I feel bad for them, and then on the other coin of it, for me, it's like, you better be telling the motherfucking truth. Because it's not okay. Can't do that to people. That if they haven't done anything, then there's not a reason to do it. Guys will brag about how they slept with some girl that they never really slept with, and that's damaging. And I've had it done to me where, girls said that they slept with me and I didn't sleep with them, and now I have this over me. And it has been a long, hard road to try to defend myself about what was said and the actual proof. It's been a rough one. It's not been easy. I take it in stride. I do the best I can, but I've had physical altercations with people about it, and I had to show them. People know that I'm not very, how can I put this without coming off? They know that I'm someone that you maybe shouldn't fuck around with. People know, the people that I've known since I grew up here, they know that I'm probably someone you shouldn't fuck with. So that's a good thing that people don't even approach me. The ones that have, I just said, hey, look, I got the documents on my phone. If you'd like to read them before you continue to say things about me or make a judgment, read them for yourself. I said, I haven't been accused of anything. I haven't been charged with anything. I haven't been arrested. I'm not in prison. I said, do you understand the extremities and the extremes of what she has said and the lengths that she goes to tell the story? Why am I still walking around a free man? Her father was a cop. So with all of that, and I present all that stuff, you have a cop dad, to bring evidence. That there should, of all the people, your father probably would make sure that I was, I'm saying, like, this is what he does. So it has not been easy. So for all the people, for women that have been abused, I have a sympathy for you, and I really feel bad of what you've had to go through and the horribleness and the torment that you have to live with it. And what has been done to you is completely not right and not okay. Now, those of you that make accusations and try to ruin people, you are completely irreprehensible. You are a complete piece of shit, and you are a terrible human being. Now, I understand what it's like to be accused of something you didn't do and have it linger over you. It is very hard. It is very hard, to be honest, Adam. There are times when I just go, you know what, I didn't do anything, and
I just get tired of having to defend myself or stick up for myself. And I'm just like, you know what? You make your own decisions. And I've told people this too. I said, just because somebody tells you something doesn't make it so. Now, I'm not telling you the extremes of what was said, because when I heard it, I couldn't believe it.
Right.
You know, and this is from clients that I sent her in good faith for her to take care of. So instead of thanking me or doing a good job with these people, they took an opportunity to stick the knife in my back. And now the truth is coming out, and enough of it is being said, and people are figuring it out that she's completely crazy. It's starting to turn back my way, but it's been a long one. It's been a long one. It's been over a year of fighting this.
Does it make you? Is it harder for you to believe others' accusations about other people when you have had the extreme false accusations put on you?
I never took, you know, that's the thing, is I always wanted to see proof. I mean, I more so now than anything else.
Yeah.
I don't believe what I hear. There are red flags, the people that are complete shit stirrers, you know.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm not a very trusting person to begin with, so now I really don't trust anybody. And I'm really just like, whatever. I'll just do my best. You know, as long as you do what you're supposed to do and we don't really interact that much, that's fine. But, you know, when someone in my shop, in all of them, if, let's say, you and another employee are not getting along, and you tell me your side and that person tells me their side, I go, all right, well, the three of us are going to talk in the same room. So if you're going to accuse somebody, I want to hear this person's side of the story while you're accusing them.
Right.
And a lot of people back off. They back down. They don't do it, because now the ones that say, yes, let's have a conversation because this is bullshit, those are the ones that I realize that are probably telling the truth. Because if they aren't telling the truth, then they will cower out of that. They will back down. So that's just kind of how it goes. So for me personally, I believe that if you are being a shit, then being confronted on it and having to come with the evidence, you'll back down. But if not, then I can tell which is bullshit and which is not. But for me, it's been rough, and I really don't like a lot of people. But it gave me a unique perspective on it. And you know, I've been accused of things before. I've had my Facebook page, my personal page. People took stuff from it and attacked me on other pages. So I'm not new to this. I just don't understand what would possess someone to do something like that and try to ruin somebody. But at the same time, it's I don't know. It's just it just makes you question everything. Yeah. You know, your faith in a lot of things kind of goes out the window. You're just like, wow, you know, like that college kid, I don't remember his name, but he lost his scholarship. He went to prison for 10 years. He was going to be in the NFL. It's a possibility. And she just lied, and it came out that she lied, and she's going to go to jail for it. And I'm like, fuck yeah, she should go to fucking jail for it. You ruined somebody's life for what? Yeah. Like it's yeah. So this Kavanaugh thing got me on the fence. When I heard his passionate reply about that he's innocent, I'm like, if you really are innocent, this fucking sucks. And I don't think that should be the thing. But you're still not a good person, and you shouldn't be Supreme Court. But no, you shouldn't go through this. Yeah. And then if the women are telling the truth, and I'm like, you should really not be in the fucking thing then. But no, it's rough. And now that I've been on this side, I do. You know, I always hope that it's a real thing. I'm like, this better be real, because if it's real, then you should do it. My accuser was confronted by a person that deals with, she's an advocate in the military for women that have been abused and have gone through this. She's an advocate for it. And she confronted her, and she told her what she had told her. And she said, all right, well, we need to start the process then, because this is very serious. Yeah. And she recanted her entire story. So I'm just like, wow. You know, like you told the wrong person that story, basically, because now she called her out. Yeah. And Sam ultimately hurt this person on purpose. So that's where She used her craft in a malicious way to get back at this person for this person calling her out on her bullshit. So she's a morally reprehensible person as well. I don't know what possesses women to be vengeful like this, but being on the other side of it, I don't like it. And believe me, Adam, if I had done anything, I deserve the fullest extent of the law.
Right.
And if I was this person that she claims, I should be in prison. I should be in jail. I am a danger to society. I'm not, because I didn't do anything. So it's just kind of like So
well, I want to make sure that we all understand that, it's not just women that do false accusations. Guys are very, very guilty of it. And we had spoken to it earlier in the show where, guys will say things like they slept with this girl, and that girl is a whore or whatever. Like this is just human drama playing out, and it's usually caused because you felt a slight in some way, and so you just want to get back at them, so you're going to make up a story that is going to hurt them, and then it becomes real in some cases, and then you have to either shit or get off the pot with your pressing of charges, and more often than not, individuals and the truth comes out. Which I think is a good thing, and then they're shut down. But unfortunately, the stain remains, and not everyone is as fortunate as you were in getting out from under that stink of false accusations. Thank you very much for sharing your situation, man, because it does shed a new light on this entire conversation we've had, and we've gone way over our regular time. Thank you all in the chat room so incredibly much for hanging in with us. And for all the viewers who weren't a part of the chat, thank you guys so much for watching for so long. I know this has been a long one. Hopefully it's been interesting. Hopefully you've been able to see a slightly different perspective than you had coming in, or maybe we just confirmation bias. We're reinforcing what you already believed. I don't know. Either way, we do appreciate your interaction. Thank you guys so much. Of course, if you want to know about other future episodes of An Enlightened Perspective or any of the other shows that I produce, subscribe to the YouTube channel and sign up to the email list. The link is in the description of the video below. And we appreciate your time and attention, everyone. So thank you very much. Patrick,
keep those checks coming.
Yeah, keep them in.
Keep the money coming. That's fine. I'm just kidding. Thank you guys very much for at least listening to us and everything. And I really appreciate this platform, and I appreciate working with Adam. And for the 4 listeners that we have, I hope that my story will help and benefit. Or if you know somebody, and if you're friends with me on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and you ever want to sit and chat, you can private message me. I don't know if I'll get to all of you, but I'll do my very best. And thank you very much for your support of the show and all of the Speak of the Devil. Please remember, the devil is the sweetest smelling in the world.
That's right. Until we can speak of the devil again, people, hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
I didn't rewind the outro video. That's funny.